Hello viewers, welcome back. We are now looking at the print settings, and in this video we are going to look at how we can configure the printer settings, which is really critical to make sure that you can export your model into a PDF format or print it for somebody who wants to review the model. So let's take a look. Now, first of all, if we explore with the mouse, let's try to open this model, and then we try to explore with our mouse. So let's try to explore with our mouse. Let's zoom it out to 100%. So we can now see from this perspective that we've zoomed in to be able to have a full view of whatever we have. So we are going to use the mouse and move over to the view section of the ribbon. So we go to the view section of the ribbon. That's where we are. Here we can see that we are in the normal view from this point, the workbook views. Here we are in the normal view. We can also see it is highlighted. So we are in the normal view of the module. So we may need to know how to use the keyboard to get a page break or back to even the normal view. So here we have the normal, we have the page break view, we have page layout, we have even the custom view. But now we've moved to this point when we are using the mouse. But we need also to know how we can actually access those points, those view positions, as we are using the keyboard shortcut. So let's try to give it a try. So what we are going to do, we are going to tap the Alt key. Alt, we don't highlight anywhere. You you hit the Alt key, and then up here you will see that view has W. So you go to W for view, and now we can see that I, from this point here, I is for page break. So we can now try to hit that I for a page break view. So that's a page break view. And as we go to the page break view, or the page break preview of this file, we are seeing that it's normal for Excel to zoom out a little bit to give something. In other words, let's try to zoom out. Control Alt equals sign, and now we are trying to zoom in a little bit. In other words, it's also very fine for Excel as a software to actually give you a summary or a preview of what you've been preparing all along. That's why we have that page break view. In other words, Excel tries to give you a breakdown, tries to give you analysis of the things you were doing all along. So what we are seeing now here is effectively a print setup. This is a print setup which hasn't been set yet. It's the default setup that is within the Excel. So that default set or the default print review that we are seeing is what has been there, but we need also to set ours. Remember, there are some figures, you see some of the figures are crossed, some of them have been cut like here. So this is the default view of what we've been doing. So it has even indicated pages and all that. So it has just picked out the information that we already know or that we've been working on. But it is a default setup, so we need to set our own view and we make sure that at least we have something good. So we can get out of this. To get out using the keyboard, it is we go Alt, W for view, and then we are going to go to L here for normal view, L. And now we are back in the normal view. So you probably remember from our tour of the Excel ribbon that we have this section here for page layout. Page layout, this one. That is the section we spoke about it when we went through the tour of the Excel ribbon. And right here, we can do what we call the page setting. If you click on that page layout, you'll find that from this point here, this is the page setup section. The whole of this is a page setup section. So from that point, we can actually make sure that at least we set up the layout of our page. Now, instead of using these buttons here, so instead of using these buttons you are seeing here, or these icons that you are seeing here, we can come to this down arrow here, this one. That little button down here in this right corner, bottom right corner, is the one that takes us to the page setup dialog box. So it is the page setup dialog box. And if we are using the keyboard, so we've been exploring that using the mouse, but now let's try to explore it using the keyboard. If you're using the keyboard, you come here and hit Alt key. And now here we are going to go P for page layout. And down here, we are going to go to SP. You're seeing here, this dialog box comes with those letters, SP. So that SP is taking us to the page setup. SP is for page setup. And what we are going to do inside here, or what we are going to work on inside this dialog box, we have so many things here that we can work on. And it is in this area where we are going to add just everything that we need to have as our print setups. Now that we are in this dialog box, it may be a little bit easier to use the mouse, because using the mouse in here will be a bit okay. It will save time. So the first thing that we can do is we can normally go to this orientation from this point here, and we change the orientation, because normally we always print financial models in a landscape format. We don't print them in a portrait. We print them in a landscape format. So it is the first thing that we can actually change. So we click right here, landscape. Now, after changing that to landscape, what we are going to do, we are going to go over here and look at this margins tab. For margins tab, we are now going to find the margins. We are finding that these margins, they look a little bit larger than what we actually need. Here you are seeing on top 1.9, 1.8, 1.8, 1.9. So we are seeing they're a bit larger than what we need. And what we want to be able to use for our models, if we try to use these ones, the model will not actually fit on our paper. So what we need to do, we want to be able to have these values fit onto a page. Because if you go by these measurements, 1.8 or centimeters, whatever, remember we are changing the format from portrait to landscape. So our model will not be able to fit on that paper. So from here, we can now use the tab key to navigate in those areas. We can now use the tab key to navigate into those areas, and we try to create our own measurements. So on top here, the top margin, we are going to set it to 0.3. Let's just use 0.3. And we go to the bottom. We do the same, even for the right and left sides. We are also going to set everything to 0.3. So we use the tab key, 0.3. We hit the tab key again. We go to the left, 0.3. Even tab key to the right, 0.3. So we've now adjusted those values to whatever we wanted. Now, what we want also to do, we want to come to this one. This one says center on page. What we want also to have, we want to center everything horizontally on the page. We don't want them vertically. So we center everything horizontally on the page. So now, let's leave these settings for now. So we want to just leave them like the way they are, because we haven't done setting up these things as we wanted to do. So we can try to leave this for now. We can hit OK, then we leave it for now. Now what we are going to do, we are going to try to maybe zoom in a little bit to have this in focus. Control Alt minus, at least to have everything. Has gone too far, maybe there. We try to zoom out a little bit. Control Alt equal sign to have this in focus. Hope that will work. That will be a little bit fine for us. So because what we basically want to do, we want to basically at least try our best to have these 3 sections onto our first page. Yeah, let's just leave it there, because I want us to be seeing the assumptions, income statement, then the target EBIT. At least we'll be seeing them. So we can now see the things that we have. Remember the other ones, we had set them, but we never wanted to set them. We just hit OK to just leave them. Maybe we can just do. So we can try now to set the page. We are going to do our own settings. So we want those 3 sections: assumptions, income statement, then the target EBITDA, they be on one page. That is our first page of the model. And by default, Microsoft has actually selected everything. But for us, we only want those first 3 sections to be at least on one page. So what we are going to do, in fact, it is really tricky to get, it's tricky to getting the getting models to print when you have selected, maybe when you are selecting each page individually. So it is really tricky. That's why we want to do some settings. We first do it as ourselves, then we can organize and print it at once. But at least let's try to have these 3 sections to be on one page. Because for the, if you just print it out, even if you just set, it will not tell that we want only these 2 topics to be on, all these 2 sections to be on our first page, but it's us to create it, and we say that we want maybe each page to be having at least 2 sections or 3 sections, but the first one at least should be having 3 sections. So that's what we are up to. So what we are going to do, we are going to try and see what we can do, and actually we have that in place by having those 3 sections on one page. So watch closely. So what we are going to do, let's first tap Alt key, and now we go for P for page out. Then we can now go right here, SP for page setup, to get into that dialog box. Now what we are going to use, we are going to use the right arrow. We are going to use the right arrow to go all the way down to this side here, sheet, that section here, that tab for sheet. So from here we are going to hit the tab key to navigate into that print area. So when you hit the tab key, now what we are going to do, we are going to type in something, because we hit the tab key just to go into that dialog box that we have there. And that dialog box is actually going to allow us to define the print area for each page. So we are going to use the arrows now to select from this cell. We are going to use the arrows to select from these cells. So we are going to use the arrows to select from the assumptions, from these sections that we have. Maybe the different cells that are within these assumptions, income statement, and then a target EBITDA. So when we select those different cells, or when we select a cell from those different sections, we are going to use the shift key, and then we can now, so we can try to set this up. So we are now moving. We are using the arrows. Remember, we are taking from these assumptions. So that arrow has moved up to B3. That is the cell. So we move to that cell B3. We have moved. And now we are going now to use the shift key. We hold down the shift key and we get all the way down to row 39. Row 39, we are just moving. Row 39, yeah. We are now in that row 39. Because that's where those 3 sections are ending. So we've picked those 2 values. We've picked B3, then B39. So now what we are going to do, we still hold down the shift key. We are going to highlight across, because we are selecting everything. We are taking everything up to that point. We have selected everything from there. So now we've defined that is our first page. But now the challenge, this one is a bit tricky, because we've selected that is going to be on our first page, but we need to select the rest of the other pages. So what we are going to do, we are going to use a comma. We put in a comma as our separator. So we are going now to go back and use arrows again to make sure that we highlight the other areas. So we put in a comma and we use arrows again to go down to these other areas, because we are going to select other areas, and we select what is going to come to page 2. Remember what we are selecting, it is going to page 2. So the question is, it's going to start from which one now? Let's try to use the arrows. It is going to start from common size income statement, or the common size. So we go into that cell. We have to use the arrows to make sure that we navigate to those areas. It is back. We can now move using this. Now we are moving down to common size. We are using the down arrow. Common size is there. So I've picked that common size is B41. So what I'm going to do, that's where the page 2 is going to start from. So it's going to start from common size right there. So now what I'm going to do, we are going to go all the way across that section. We are going to pick across, then we pick downwards. So let's use the shift key. We hold down the shift key to highlight. Remember, we are stopping on L. That is J, that is K, L. So we've stopped on L. So we move all the way down, and we include even the income, the income state, the income, this net income. But we have also to add one extra line at the bottom there. We've added the bottom, the other item is stopping on the net income is in cell in row 57, but I'm going to add in one extra line or one extra row, which goes to 58, just like that. So after doing that, then we are going to hit enter. After hitting enter, let's go back up on the top here, in the top of the model. And what we are going to do, let's go back on top. And what we are going to do, we are going to go back to the view section or the view menu. So we use Alt W for view, and then I to do a print, to have a page break. Let me hope I highlighted everything. No, I forgot these other values. We were supposed to go up to sorry. We're supposed to go up to this point, because this one was also supposed to be, we are supposed to go to this last bit. I only highlighted the other aspect, but at least you've gotten the picture. Let's just go back. Let's go back and we repeat the thing, because I know it is a bit challenging, but it's something that is very good for us to actually pick right. Sorry, we've done a mistake. We did not highlight the other percentage section. We left it out. So we go back to normal with Alt, W for view, then L to normal. But what we would do, we would just go undo everything. I hope this is where we've been. Let's undo again. Yeah, it's supposed to be in that section. Now here we've not selected anything. No, this one is still selected. We do undo. We don't want to have any selection because we didn't take the other part. This one still has the selection here. So now the selection, I think it is gone. This one is not included. It's not included, but we can repeat. We can repeat this. So let's go back here. We are going to do these selections again. So we are going to go back to these sections. So we said we wanted these two. Let's first zoom in a little bit. We want to be seeing all, for sure, we would have been seeing these things if we had zoomed. We want to see the whole of this on that same page. So even this one, the down part here, this one is supposed to be with this one. So that's basically what we are supposed to do. But we had selected only one piece. This one is already selected. So let's try to go back. We shall remove everything from that point. So we go to Alt. Now we are going for P for page layout. Then we go to SP for page setup. Then we are going to use the right arrow to move all the way to sheet. So these ones, let's delete everything from here. We've deleted everything from that point. So we are going to repeat these things. So we said what we are going to do. I said the thing is a bit tricky, so we need to be following. And it's a nice idea that we are repeating it because I know some of you guys might have gotten lost, but at least we are in the same dialog box where we are starting. Now we are starting off. We are now in the sheet. So what we do, we use the tab key. Already we use the tab key, and now we are already in. We use the tab key, and now we are in that print area. So we are now defining. From here, we use the arrows to move all the way to, we need to move all the way to these areas for, but it's a bit, we can't see. Let me try to zoom out a little bit. I think there we can be able to see. Yes. Yeah, we can see from here. So we go to Alt, P for page. We go to Alt, P for page layout, SP for page setup. Then we can use the right arrow to move to sheet. Then we go to tab key. We remove those things there. And now we are going to start from here. We are moving all the way to, we are now moving. We are moving up to B. Let's move. We are moving up to that cell, B3. So when you tap in that B3, what you are going to do, you hold down the shift key and you start highlighting downwards up to row 39, because that's where our 3 sections are ending. So you don't leave the shift key. You still hold it and use the right arrow to take you to this section there. L39, that's where our schedule ends. So from here, it is a bit tricky, so we need to use a comma to separate those 2 rows. After separating, then we need to define the other items that are going to start on the second section. So we use the arrows again Now, if you hit any arrow, it is now a Q10. So we need to move up to B. So we move. Now we are moving backwards. It's now in B, B10. So we move downwards. We are going to, the page 2 is going to start from the section 4, cash common size. So common size is now selected. So what we are going to do, we hold down the shift key and we highlight downwards until we reach the net income. But for the net income, we said we have to leave one extra line. So we go, that is our first net income. So we go to the last one, percentage change, until income state. So that's where net income is on page, on row 76. But we want it to be, we leave one extra line, we go to 77. You can also highlight across using the right arrow, then you go up to that point. If you don't want, you can just maintain it to where it's been. So that's what we are doing. So from there you hit OK. So after hitting the OK, you can now go to Alt, W for view, then I for print review. We can now see that we have, that is our page 1. So the page 2, we need to highlight it. We've made a mistake again, but at least today we've done something, because even this one is supposed to be highlighted up to this point. We're supposed to highlight everything there. But at least you've gotten what you wanted to have. So now you can actually see that this first page is going to have that kind of information. That's how it's going to be looking like, because those other things we set them up. So now that we've seen, because what I want you to get is that here we can see we have page 1. This is page 1. And down here, this is what I wanted you to identify. We have a separator. It's like it has been separated. And this one says, this one is page 2. So we are going to be having only 2 pages there. So the second page is down below the first one. So one thing to note here is that everything wasn't fitting correctly on one page. So what we did was to adjust the scaling or the scaling level. So everything here is not all that fitting. So what we are going to do, we now come here and say Alt, then P for page. Then we are going to use SP. What we need to do is just to adjust the scaling. And now we can see the scaling right here. Adjust to 100%. The other one was adjusted, but not all the pages. One of the pages not 100%. So if you find that this one is 100%, because it is by default on 100%. But now we can try and say we are going to put it on 90%, because not everything is going to be fitting on our page. Just like the way you're seeing, you can put it on 90, 85, 80, as long as it fits on the page. So that's what you should do. We can cancel this for a moment because we can't complete, because we didn't highlight the whole of this item here. That's why we are not completing. So we can now go back to the normal view. This is what I'm meaning, that you are seeing this small line here is cutting some of the values, but you want it to be adjusted. and you can actually be able to see everything in one place. So let's go back to our normal view. Alt W L. That's the normal one. So even here, if you want to just adjust it, Alt P, then SP, we just use now the right arrow. We can just come here and we change it. We change something here. We can hold down the shift and we use the down arrow to complete this to that section there, and we hit enter. You'll actually see that things are actually coming out. Alt W for view, then I. You will see that we have everything as we needed them. We have our page 2 selected right and our page 1 selected right, but these figures are not fitting on the page. So what we do, we add just Alt P, then we go to SP, then we look at this one. This one is always at default 100%, so we can make it, let's say 90. Let's say just use 80, and we hit enter. Okay. You will see that these values are now going to be fitting on these papers when we print them out. So you can also adjust it to any page, any, whether it's 80, whether 70, so that you can actually have something that is fitting on the piece of paper as you print it out. So let's quickly go back. Alt W L to normal. Now we've highlighted everything as we wanted. We are back to the normal view. So hopefully those tips are helpful, and I hope you have understood now how to toggle everything over the landscape format, and you can adjust the scaling level and also select each page individually, which is really the secret to getting the print setup correctly. Now, as we've finished the print setup, let's just go to the next video where we are going to show you how to save PDF formats, and we are going to show you also how to have some of those print preview shortcuts that we can use. So we see you in the next video as we are looking at print preview. Thank you for watching.